Please welcome Shakhina Pulatova.
Thank you so much for your introduction, Shokat. Hello, everyone. How are you? Good? I can see you guys. Awesome. I am Shahina, and I am happy to be here today to talk to you about my experience, my professional journey of building AI and data products at various companies in Silicon Valley. And I'll be sharing my lessons learned along the way as well. At a very big picture, high level, when I look at my own professional journey, it doesn't look all that out of the extraordinary, right? I started as a student, like most of us do. Then I became an engineer because I was studying computer science. Then from there, I took a leap to become a product manager, which turned out to be actually a really good fit for me. Then from there, I became a product leader and now a founder. But as they say, the devil is in the details. And I actually think it's the angels that actually hide in the details. And I want to start from the very beginning, and I want to shed light into different phases of my professional journey in the hopes that that will give you a sense of what it's like to work in Silicon Valley. All right, so I grew up here in Tashkent in an academic family, and uh, thanks to my dad's research work, we had computers at home, which was not a very common thing amongst Uzbek households. This was early 1990s. I know I'm aging myself. But I learned to use the computers for word processing first and then for programming. And also at an early age, I started learning English and helped my father write this English textbook, which became a big success. And I was a teenager then. And also, when I was 9 years old, I started my own tutoring business. I was teaching kids and adults English and math. And by the time I was in high school, I made that into like a bigger business. And that gave me a good sense of financial independence, which turned out to be very important in my life. So I turned 17 and I decided to move to United States for college to study computer science. And I landed at UT, which is the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. And as a foreigner, it wasn't that easy, right? I had to work really hard compared to my American um, fellow students. But I managed to graduate with a bachelor's in computer science when I was 20 years old. Then I stayed at the University of Tennessee for graduate school for my master's degree in computer science. And during that time, as part of my research, I was working with scientists at the Oak Ridge National Laboratories. I was working in a distributed computing project, and I thought that would be a really easy thing to do to use that towards my master's thesis. But the only thing is that I was working with scientists at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, but I needed a thesis advisor who was a professor at my university. So I approached this professor I really liked. His name was Michael Berry. And I asked him, hey, can you be my professor? Can you be my thesis advisor? Right? And he said, absolutely, happy to. And I told him I already have a project that I've been working on and it's already almost finished and I could use that. But he had a different idea for me for a project because and he wanted to be in his research area, which is machine learning and information retrieval and data mining. At that time, these topics weren't that hot. No one was actually talking about AI, right? So I was really hesitant. I didn't really, to be honest, like that at first because that would mean that I would have to start over with a completely new project and I would need to work hard. But he said, no pressure, take this project idea home, think about it over the weekend, and let me know. So I thought about it over the weekend, and as I was learning about the AI research and machine learning research, it seemed really magical to me. And eventually my curiosity won. So that was my first exposure into working in machine learning research. Um, that really guided the rest of my career. So my lesson learned here is that keep an open mind. Don't be afraid of hard work, especially when you're early on in your career journey or early in your professional journey. And you never know, opportunities can be actually disguised as hard work. And you may be actually planting seeds towards your future. And this actually, Steve Jobs says it best, right? You can't predict the future. And what he says is that you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. All right. So I graduated with a master's in computer science, and a very natural thing to do would be to become an engineer. So I took a job at a company called National Instruments in Austin, Texas, as an engineer. And I was working on really cool projects, coding in C, C++, and LabVIEW, which is a scientific graphical programming language. And it was fun. I was having fun coding. I was always learning new languages and new paradigms. But there was this nagging voice in my head, always thinking about the big picture. Why? The why, right? Why are we building these products? What problems are we solving? Who are we solving for? And are there even bigger or more important problems that we should be solving instead? So what I was doing actually was thinking like a product person, right? Like a product manager. So I decided to try out this new role, which was product management, which also was not that hot during those times. This is early 2000s. And my lesson learned here is that listen to your gut intuition, to your own talents and interests, and try out different roles. It's always great to try out different roles. It's always great to move out of your current path. And for me, that meant moving out of my very kind of very, I guess, like pretty smooth engineering path into product management. Okay, so actually, as we're talking about product management, any product managers here? Show of hands, product managers? Not that many. Anyone interested in becoming product managers? All right, a lot more hands. Okay, awesome. So what product managers do, if you're not familiar with that, they create the vision, strategy, and a mission for what you want to build for different kinds of businesses, and create a compelling roadmap to actually make that happen. And they sit at the intersection of engineering, UX design, data science, business, and other fields like marketing, sales, and operations, and so on. And product managers guide the entire life cycle of a product, basically like jack of trades, master of none, sort of a thing. And product managers, just like entrepreneurs, are trying to create successful businesses by trying to find product market fit. And what that really means, even before reaching product market fit, they're trying to find the right problems and the right solutions that solve those problems and the products that are part of those solutions, all along making sure they fit with the market. And this is my kind of a humorous view on product management. Essentially, evolution of the PM's ego over a period of one day. This encapsulates the whole emotional roller coaster and all the ups and downs of what it takes to build a product, from the phase of I have a dream all the way to making it a reality. So if you want to torture your ego all day long, I would say join product management. But no, I'm just kidding. It's actually really fun to build something out of nothing, to create something that has never existed before, and to really innovate. So that's why I love product management. Okay, so where were we? I decided to try out product management, and I was young and I was energetic, and in this phase of my life, all I wanted was challenge. I was driven by challenge. I wanted to solve very hard problems. And what that meant was I wanted to try working on different kinds of businesses and different kinds of products. So during that time, I was at National Instruments and joined the e-commerce part of the company because they needed my experience of working with large data, right? Because I did that during grad school. And there I helped them build products which were like essentially helping their customers build systems using the hardware and software the company produced. These large systems using rules-based decision engines. From there on, this was fun, but I knew that I was in Austin, Texas, but the overall, the whole revolution, right, tech revolution was happening in Silicon Valley, and I wanted to be a part of it. Luckily, unfortunately, eBay was looking for a product manager who had experience building decision engines, which is what I was working at National Instruments. So they recruited me and brought me to Silicon Valley to build their paid search products. So if you're not familiar with eBay, eBay is one of the largest marketplaces in the world. And eBay has over something like 1.5 billion number of products that they sell, right? Like the items that they sell. For reference, that's actually a much, much larger number of items compared to other e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon. And they have millions of sellers who are selling their items on the marketplace. So to help these sellers get buyers, eBay does advertising on their behalf. And what that means is they buy ads on search engines like Google and Microsoft and so on. And what that meant, since we had such a large volume of diverse keywords, we had diverse items, we had millions and millions of keywords. And it's, as you know, the ads are based on the auction system, and you need to be bidding in real time on every one of these hundreds of millions of keywords. So I led a team to build these massive advanced machine learning systems and predictive AI models to figure out how much we should bid for each one of these keywords by doing dynamic bidding. And we also built experimentation platforms to test out different models test out the effectiveness of different models that we were creating. And from there on, I tried a different team and to get experience at a different kind of a machine learning and AI problem, which is machine translation and natural language processing. eBay wanted to expand their cross-border trade, and as part of that, what that meant was they needed to translate all of the information from the listings, like titles, descriptions, especially user-generated content, into a different language, right? But of course, there's more than 1.5 billion listings on the marketplace, and you can't translate all of that by hand, and all of that can change real time as well. So what that meant is we needed a machine translation system and solution. We tried using Google Translator, Google Translate, we tried using Microsoft Translator, but none of that was really working. So we decided to build our own machine translation system in-house from scratch, and that was the team that I led to build machine translation systems. So at this time, I've tried 2 different deep kind of product areas at eBay, and it was really fun, and I was loving it. And finally, I was thinking to myself, oh, I'm continuing the research that I started in grad school, working on these massive machine learning systems, right? And my dots were starting to connect, which was great. But there was a still nagging voice in my head. Okay, I've worked at a large company. Now I want to try something smaller, something scrappier, and more of a startup environment. For that reason, I joined Eventbrite, which is a marketplace for live events like concerts, and it's a ticketing platform, but for live events like concerts, tech conferences like these, marathons, and so on. There, I was brought to work on their search and discovery systems, recommendations, analytics products, and so on. And Eventbrite, so this was around 2014, and Eventbrite was a hot late-stage startup at that time. So that gave me an exposure to this more kind of scrappy way of building products. The search and discovery experience, the products I was working on caught the attention of the hiring managers of LinkedIn after that, and they asked me to join to lead the search and discovery products for LinkedIn. But LinkedIn was enticing for me for other reasons. First of all, so I've worked on an e-commerce system so far. I've worked on a marketplace, but I have not worked on social networks, right? And eBay is the largest professional network. And they have over 1 billion members at this point, and there's a huge scale there. And it was really enticing for me to help connect the world's professionals to different opportunity, whether it's connecting them to each other using search and discovery products, connecting them to helping them find jobs, right? And learning content and professional content and so on. So I worked on these products. Outside of the traditional search and discovery products, also I built brand new products as well. For instance, LinkedIn News. If you go to the homepage, you see the LinkedIn News, which is a hybrid AI and human editorial sort of a model that shows you top professional news happening worldwide. All right. So far, what I've been doing is going deep into different product areas and learning all the ins and outs of it. I kind of envision this as going deep down into different rabbit holes, right? And by doing that, I was building my professional brand. I was a product manager who focuses on AI-powered big data and algorithmic solutions and non-deterministic models. So my lesson learned here that really what worked for me is the specialization. So I specialized in different areas, and that was my competitive advantage. It actually made it a lot easier for me to find jobs in tough economic times where there were so many generalist PMs looking for jobs who had Harvard and Stanford MBAs and who were having a hard time finding jobs. So specialization worked for me, but also on the other hand, not overly specializing, right? Because I was going deep into different adjacent areas. So what I was doing, actually, I was exploring as well, because companies, the recruiters, when they reach out to you, all they're doing is pattern matching to your previous experience. So essentially, they're pushing you more towards exploitation. But exploring, being intentional about exploring is really important and served me well as well. All right, so at this point, I'm feeling more confident about, like, I've tried out different types of products and different types of businesses. I'm feeling more confident. I'm feeling wiser a little bit, right, about my abilities about building products. And I realized that it's not only about challenge for me anymore. I actually want to increase my impact. I want to help the world, and I'm asking myself, how can I do that more at scale? Well, in a corporate setting, the traditional, like more of like a common way of doing that is by managing an org, right? Basically, becoming a more of a product line owner and a people manager. So our CEO, Ryan Roslansky, who was my mentor at the time, had an idea for me. He wanted me to get out of my comfortable search and discovery land, all these AI products, right, and actually lead an identity org instead, which was more of a generalist product area. And that identity product org included LinkedIn profile, which is an iconic, probably the most important part of LinkedIn, right? Like when you think about LinkedIn, you think about your profile. And like I said, there are over 1 billion LinkedIn profiles on the platform. And that also included the skills ecosystem. So for me, that kind of checked the mark of impact, right? I wanted to represent all these billion professionals in the world in a professional context, and I wanted to help them connect to opportunity. So that was really inspiring for me. And my lesson learned here was that being actually more of a product line manager is very different skill set from being a people manager and growing your org and developing the people, right? But frankly, I enjoyed both of them. Okay, fast forward a few years, maybe like a couple years past, and we're in the thick of the pandemic. It's really scary times, and Snowflake reaches out to me and they were building their marketplace products. Snowflake is a data cloud company. If you don't know, it's in the enterprise space. And they reach out to me to help them build their marketplace product, and especially focusing on search and discovery products and recommendations and so on. So the marketplace, what the marketplace is, this is where different organizations share their data products, and AI applications with one another to solve different problems, and they monetize it there as well. But another thing that was happening that I noticed that was really interesting for me, Snowflake put up rich COVID 19 data sets on the marketplace. And what happened after was so many different organizations from both private and public sector and government organizations and so on were all consuming that data and collaborating on that data to help end the pandemic. They were sharing their insights, sharing their own data to help solve different problems for their customers to alleviate COVID 19. So that was really inspiring for me. I decided to join Snowflake then. All right, but there's more that I skipped over. If we go back a couple of years before that, what I was feeling was this, just like feeling this whole kind of very busy go 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 culture of Silicon Valley, and it was getting burned out. And I was realizing that I live in a very, it's a big but very strong bubble. When you step outside of the bubble, it's a whole another different world, right? And I was getting really frustrated about how Silicon Valley prioritizes the needs of the top 1% or top 5% of humanity instead of focusing on solving the problems for everyone. During that time, it was dark times because also my father passed away, and that meant tremendous amount of grief. And really, what that meant is I learned the hard way, very hard way, that life is very short and life is very precious. So what I decided to do was to take a sabbatical, to travel around the world, to work on the math book that I was co-authoring with my father, and to help all kinds of different startups around the world by advising them and consulting them and so on. During that time, it felt like I lived a million lives, and I felt the most alive during that time. So my lesson learned here is that from time to time, it is really advantageous to to step outside of your bubble, and to take a break, to recharge, to think about your life. Because in this stage, I was asking the why questions again that I was asking in my early product journey, right? But I was treating my own life, my own professional journey as a product. I was asking, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Am I working towards my goals and missions? Do I have the right goals to begin with? Right? And by taking this time for myself, I was able to think about these questions. And this is a great time to course correct if you're not in the right path either, because success is never linear. Nowadays, I am taking all of this experience from my past building AI products and channeling that into building an AI startup. And essentially, I am trading my entrepreneur hat, which I was wearing in big tech, into an entrepreneur hat. And of course, that has its own challenges. But we're in the very early stages, and our mission is to help humans solve the most important and toughest problems together with the help of AI. And I hope you will stay tuned on our progress. So now, looking from this vantage point, looking back into my more than 20-year-old journey, right? I think that, oh, all of this has been smooth, it's been beautiful, my dots are connecting, right? Like Steve Jobs said. Actually, no, absolutely not. It has not been smooth. I would be lying to you if I said it's been smooth, right? And all my dots connect. It's actually a good thing that my dots don't connect because I'm not done yet. I have a lot more to do. I have a longer way to go. But there have been a lot of hiccups, a lot of rejections, a lot of failure and heartbreak during my journey. And also, it's for one hand, it's actually very challenging to be a woman in tech, especially in Silicon Valley, and also an immigrant. Right? I started from zero network. I didn't know any Uzbek person when I was starting out in Silicon Valley and just in tech in general, or really even Central Asian people. I was always the first Uzbek person to work at every tech company I worked at. So it took time for me to build the network. And I'm actually, when I look at the Uzbek diaspora in the US now, I feel so good because it's getting stronger and it's getting larger, and I'm really excited about that. But my lesson learned here is that there is no common path. A lot of people ask me, what is your path? I want to be on your path, or what is the common thing to do if I want to, go to this destination? The answer is there is no common path. You can find inspiring people and you can take inspiration from them and look at their path and like see if you can actually be on certain parts of their paths, but you have to create your own. My mom, who's actually in the audience, hi mom, she always reminds me that I'm always on my own path and I need to create my own path. So I wish that you do the same because everyone's path is beautiful, and I wish that you will be the youest you that you can be. All right, one more thing, but thank you. I cannot end my presentation without talking the current generative AI, right, transformation. So what is it doing to jobs? Nader talked about, our job, what's going to happen to jobs. They're getting transformed for sure in this age of AI. But more specifically, I want to talk about what is AI doing to product management? Is product management dead? Is it going away? And the answer is no, absolutely not. It's not staying the same like it is today, but it will get transformed and evolved. So generative AI is giving us all the new tools and paradigms for instance, to brainstorm on ideas for products and businesses, right? To create missions and visions and roadmaps and so on. You can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude. Perplexity, for instance, is a good one to like brainstorm different ideas and to create mission and vision and strategy for your product area. There are a lot of prototyping tools like V0 from Vercel, Lovable and Bolt and so on, where you can, without any code, you can create, product managers can create prototypes without any design either. So that is happening. And also with all of the agentic experiences, now we have AI colleagues. For the first time in history, now we have colleagues. We were going to have colleagues who are just AI. These are not humans, right? So what that means is product management job will be evolving, and product manager who uses AI will always outperform the product manager who does not use AI. So even if you're not a product manager, but especially if you're a product manager, I encourage you to try all these tools, to tinker, to try to build with them, right? And just really you need to build that muscle with working with AI, because that is that's not even the future. That is happening currently. And my prediction in terms of like how AI can evolve, how the PM role can evolve is one, I think there will be such a concept of super PM. Essentially, super PM is the PM who expands their role beyond just building products and owning products and features, but also into building the entire experiences and businesses. So essentially, there may be a little bit more kind of specialization here in terms of an experience manager and a business or manager or a GM. So we will see that evolving in the next few years. And at the kind of a more extreme level of this, especially for niche and kind of narrow products, what we're seeing is the emergence of companies with only one human worker. Essentially, a company where one product manager works there together with all of the AI colleagues, right? So essentially, that's called a solopreneur model instead of entrepreneur. On the other hand, what is also happening is other functions outside of product management, like business folks and designers and engineers and so on. Now they can use the AI tools to create what product managers create as well, right? They can create the PR, like product requirements documents, specs, and so on. And especially for low risk kind of products, this will be happening more and more. But what it comes down to, in my opinion, is that product managers are the stewards of taste. Product managers curate compelling experiences and figure out what is the right product to build for this moment, right? AI can generate all kinds of different products on its own autonomously. AI is a lot more efficient, it's a lot faster than product managers, right? But the taste is something that we need product managers for. And on top of that, AI product managers are trendsetters as well. They're constantly pushing the boundaries and exposing humanity to new possibilities. And we always need the people who ask the question, why? Why do we need to build something, and what is it that we need to build? And I really think that in the age of AI, the most important skill will be actually the human skills, the empathy, the creative vision, ethical judgment. That's something AI is not going to work on, and strategic thinking. Cool. So we're living in kind of this exciting but also ambiguous time. So I want to leave you with this quote that I like. I wanted a perfect ending. Now I've learned the hard way that some poems don't rhyme and some stories don't have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next. Delicious ambiguity. Thank you.